Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tracking a concept that's literally terrified, fascinated, and challenged humanity for thousands of years. We're going to treat the idea of Belial almost like a character in a massive historical drama, tracing this wild transformation from a simple Hebrew grammar term into a terrifying demon king, and finally, into a modern symbol of self-mastery. To track this incredible evolution, we're going to hit 5 key stops. First, the original meaning of Belial, then the shift from word to demon, his time as the Christian prince of falsehood, Milton's eloquent coward, and finally, modern occult interpretations. Let's see how different eras reshape this figure to reflect their own deepest fears. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the meaning of Belial, a foundation for understanding. Let's strip away the thousands of years of mythology and just look at the root of the name itself. So check out the Hebrew root here. Belial. It's actually a compound word. You've got Beli, meaning without, and Ya'al, which translates to worth, value, or profit. Basically, originally, Belial wasn't some horned monster at all. He was essentially an ancient accounting term for zero value. It was just a descriptive noun denoting someone or something as without worth or completely ungoverned. But here's where it gets absolutely fascinating. Think about it. Does ungoverned mean complete moral decay, or does it mean, liberation from strict, maybe oppressive societal norms? That built-in ambiguity in the etymology is a huge pivot point. It's the reason totally different cultures saw him either as a terrifying force of societal decay that had to be feared, or as a liberator from rigid rules. Keep that question in the back of your mind, because it's going to echo through every single era we explored today. Moving into Section 2, from word to demon, the seed of controversy. This is where we literally witness the birth of an entity. There was a massive historical divergence that happens right here. In the Hebrew Bible, the term was just used to describe corrupt individuals, literally worthless men leading people astray into idolatry. But jump over to the Dead Sea Scrolls, and Belial gets a major promotion. The term goes from being an adjective to an actual title, the Prince of Darkness. Now he's this architect of destruction leading the sons of darkness in a cosmic battle against the sons of light. Suddenly, the concept sprouted a distinct personality and a motive. And that momentum just keeps building into later Jewish apocryphal literature. The Book of Jubilees really solidifies Belial as a prince of evil who actively tempts humans into sin. But, and this is a super important distinction, he was still viewed strictly as a subordinate created being. So a rebel, absolutely, but not a supreme equal rival to God. He still had hard limits. But as we enter a whole new era, the mythology gets another major rewrite. Here's Section 3. Christian Prince of Falsehood, Ambassador to Hell. The theological shift here is wild. While earlier texts kept Belial as a subordinate creature, early Christian demonologists took the concept and completely amplified it. The name basically becomes synonymous with Satan. He transforms into this supreme opponent in the infernal hierarchy, a prominent prince of falsehood who actively heads up heretical cults just to lead humanity astray. And man, it gets incredibly specific by the medieval period. The ancient grimoire, the Lesser Key of Solomon, basically gives Belial role-playing game stats. It lists him as one of 72 demons commanded by King Solomon, ruling over vast demonic legions. He gets associated with specific vices like pride, lust, and deceit. Plus, interacting with him supposedly required these insanely complex rituals and offerings, which really shows you just how much sheer terror and power people believed this entity actually possessed. All right, stepping out of those smoky medieval grimoires and into the halls of 17th century literature, we hit Section 4, Milton's eloquent coward, a master of rhetoric. In his massive epic poem, Paradise Lost, John Milton creates a completely new vision for Belial. The roaring monster demanding sacrifices? Gone. Instead, he becomes the literal embodiment of eloquence masking evil. Milton paints him as a fallen angel who is beautiful, incredibly articulate, and super charming, but completely devoid of any actual virtue. What's crazy is that Milton's Belial actually argues for doing nothing. When the fallen angels are debating their next move, Belial essentially says, hey, let's just stay here in hell. It's warm, we can get comfortable. He completely prioritizes comfort over freedom. Milton turned him into this charming couch potato, a coward whose mastery of words hides a profound moral bankruptcy. And honestly, this specific take heavily shaped the smooth-talking, superficially charming villains we see all over pop culture today. Finally, we arrive at the modern era. Section 5, Modern Occult Interpretations, Beyond Demonization.
Here, left-hand path practitioners have completely reframed the archetype all over again.
We are now miles away from the medieval idea of an evil king. Rather than viewing him as inherently malicious, modern occultists often approach Belial as a psychological framework. It's a progression from shadow work to personal power. It's about confronting your own inner darkness, embracing unconventional desires, and developing profound self-reliance. In this view, Belial isn't a tempter at all, but a strict liberator from dogmatic thinking, guiding people toward practical, worldly self-mastery.
Looking back across this whole timeline, the transformation is just staggering. We went from a simple Hebrew noun for worthless to a literal prince of darkness, to a medieval king demanding rituals, to Milton's eloquent coward, and finally a modern symbol of self-reliance. Belial is absolutely not a static historical fact. He's this dynamic, fascinating mirror, constantly shifting to reflect the changing fears, values, and paradigms of humanity across thousands of years. Which brings us to a final thought to leave you with. Returning to that original, ambiguous Hebrew translation of without worth versus ungoverned, we're left to ponder a pretty profound question about good, evil, and human nature itself. Is Belial a symbol of ultimate, destructive moral decay, or does he represent the ultimate empowering rejection of oppressive rules? The answer, it seems, depends entirely on the era you live in, the beliefs you hold, and maybe even the restrictions you feel in your own life. What do you think? Thank you so much for exploring this massive historical transformation with me on The Explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.